In the heart of Moringa Estate, nestled in an apartment complex with beige walls and flower beds that rarely bloomed, lived a woman named Dora. 36, former corporate lioness. She once walked into boardrooms like they were battlefields and always emerged victorious. Sharp suits, sharper mind. Deadlines bowed to her. Junior staff scrambled to match her pace. She negotiated deals worth millions before lunch and still found time to mentor interns in the afternoon. Her name echoed in high places, on strategy decks, in client calls, in executive meetings where her presence carried weight and her words closed deals. She was the one others wanted to be, composed, competent, and commanding. Her desk was always neat, her calendar full, her confidence unmistakable. She had a corner office, a company car, and a salary that silenced rooms. People called her unstoppable, untouchable, unshakable. She was her family's pride, their first success story, the one they always mentioned when visitors came by. Dora works in the city, you know. Big office, travels for meetings. She even helped buy that fridge you're using. She was the one everyone called when there was an emergency, medical, financial, emotional, or even spiritual, because she always had the right words, the steady voice, the unwavering faith. She was the backbone that held everything together, the invisible thread that stitched the family fabric in place. The one who never said no, because that's what you do when you're the strong one, even when it drains you dry. Dora was the eldest of 5. She had raised her siblings like a second mother. When her father passed in her final year of university, she took up a part-time job tutoring students to help pay school fees. Not just hers, but her brother's too. When her mother fell ill with cervical cancer a decade later, it was Dora who footed the bills. Quietly, constantly, without question. She bought land for the family in Busia and built them a modest 3-bedroom house, cemented floors, tiled kitchen, a borehole. When her youngest sister got pregnant and was abandoned by the father, Dora paid for her hospital bills and then enrolled her in a tailoring course. When her brother wanted to marry but had no dowry, she gave him her savings with a smile and a hug. They called her the mother of all. Not because she had children of her own, but because she mothered everyone else. She was the one who remembered birthdays, who paid for surprise cakes when no one else could, the one who sent money for uniforms, for clinics, for bus fare, for groceries. She checked in on everyone, cousins, aunties, aging uncles, asking if they'd eaten, if they were okay, if they needed anything. She filled the gaps left by absent fathers, held space for siblings who made reckless choices. She offered comfort, counsel, and care. She forgave debts without asking twice. She loved loudly, generously, without keeping score. And for that, they crowned her with a title of honor, the mother of all. But even mothers break. Even those who hold everyone up can crumble under the weight. And when she broke, they weren't there to catch her. When she needed the same compassion she had poured so freely into others, all she met was silence. Phone calls went unanswered. Messages were left on read. Excuses filled the spaces where empathy should have lived. She, who had been a lighthouse in every storm, was left to drown quietly, alone. Because when you're always strong, people forget to check if you're okay. They forget you bleed too. They forget that even the sun sets. It started with an email. Dear Ms. Dora, we regret to inform you that your position as Senior Strategy Lead has been declared redundant, effective immediately. This decision comes as part of the company's broader restructuring. The words blurred before her eyes. Redundant, like an old printer, a broken stool, a woman no longer useful. She read the email again and again, hoping it might change. Her name, once printed on awards and commendation letters, now sat cold and detached at the top of a termination email. There was no call, no meeting, just this, an email sent at 8:14 a.m. on a Friday morning, as though it were just another task on someone's to-do list. She sat frozen in the soft glow of her laptop, her coffee growing cold beside her. The office around her buzzed faintly with laughter and typing, but to her, the world had gone eerily quiet. Everything she had built, Everything she had given, 15 years of loyalty, innovation, sleepless nights, last-minute flights, reduced to a paragraph ending with, "We thank you for your service and wish you all the best in your future endeavors." It didn't feel like a thank you. It felt like a door slammed shut while she was still standing inside. That same week, the company car was recalled. Her medical cover was terminated. Her rent was due. For the first time in 12 years, her phone stayed silent. No calendar alerts, no endless Teams meetings, no late-night calls from her boss. She stared at her laptop, jobless, stunned, and waited for the panic to set in. It didn't, not immediately. There was still money in her account, savings, a cushion. She believed, naively, that it would only be temporary. The first month, she lived normally, told no one, paid rent, bought groceries, sent money to her mother as usual, covered her sister's monthly contributions. She even sent airtime to her cousin in Kitale, who was always about to get a job. The second month, she started skipping outings. Friends asked, "Where have you been?" She said, "Busy." They smiled, assuming success. By the third month, the savings thinned. She applied for jobs daily. Nothing came. She borrowed money from a friend, feeling shame bite into her pride like acid on silk. That's when she called home. Not because she wanted to, not because it was easy, but because she had no one else left. Her hand trembled as she scrolled through her contacts, past the numbers she used to dial with pride, clients, suppliers, junior analysts who once feared her calendar, past her former boss, whose last words were a cold hang in there. She stopped at the one number that felt like a final lifeline, Mama. Her voice was small when the call connected. "Hi, Mum." There was a pause, a cautious silence, the kind that spoke of busyness or distance. "Dora," her mother finally answered, as if surprised to hear from her. Is everything all right?" Dora hesitated. This was the part she dreaded, the unraveling, the telling, the surrender. But she had no choice now. Rent was due in 6 days. She did not have enough money. In her account, she'd sold her microwave the week before. She hadn't eaten a full meal in 2 days. "Mum," she said, forcing calm into her voice, "I lost my job 2 months ago. They downsized. I've tried everything. Applications, interviews, consulting gigs, but nothing's come through yet." Silence. She continued, words tumbling out like broken pieces. "I just need help to get through this month, even just some food or fare. Please." The line crackled. She heard voices in the background, someone laughing, the clatter of utensils, a distant radio playing a gospel song. Then came the response. "Aish, Dora, you know times are hard everywhere. I haven't worked for years, and your sister's kids need school fees. We've been struggling too." It wasn't cruel, just attached, neutral, like they were talking about someone else's life. "But Mum," she whispered, "I've helped all of you, for years." "Yes, and we're grateful, truly, but you're the strong one, Dora. You always find a way, don't you?" That was it. No offer, no follow-up, just faith in the version of her that had already crumbled. She ended the call before her tears fell, before her pride did. She didn't call again. She then sent a message to her brother, simple, direct, humbling in a way she never imagined she'd have to be. "Hey, Brian, I'm really in a tight spot. Things haven't been working out. I was wondering if you could help me out with even a little something for groceries or rent, just for now. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't urgent." She stared at the screen for minutes after hitting send, hoping for those 3 dots to appear, hoping he'd remember how many times she'd cleared his shul loan, paid for his wedding decor, topped up his deposit when he bought that used car. Eventually, he replied, "Oh no, Dora, I wish I could. Things are tight on my end too. Maybe next month?" No follow-up, no offer to check in. Just that quiet dismissal dressed up as empathy. She read it twice, then turned off her phone, not to save battery, but to save what was left of her dignity. By the 5th month, she had sold her smart TV, her couch, then her fridge. The only thing she kept, bed, because sleeping on the floor would crush what little dignity she had left. She found herself trapped in the quicksand of mobile loan apps, borrowing small amounts just to eat, to buy airtime, to make it through the day. One app fed the next, each debt digging deeper into her dignity. The house grew quieter, darker. She couldn't afford Wi-Fi, so she used her neighbor's hotspot sparingly. Every morning she opened her laptop and searched for jobs like it was a ritual. Still, no offers came. Once she bumped into her cousin at the supermarket queue. She smiled weakly. "You've lost weight," he observed. She laughed and lied. Trying intermittent fasting, she hadn't eaten a good meal in weeks. One day, rent was overdue by 2 months. The caretaker came knocking. "Dora, we have to give notice. The landlord won't wait much longer." She nodded. That night, she cried into her pillow. Not loud sobs, just the quiet kind that spill when no one is watching. Her phone was silent. Not a single sibling had checked in. Then came the 6th month. It was a Tuesday afternoon, the kind that had blurred into all the others. Dora had just come back from the nearby kiosk, clutching a loaf of bread and a sachet of milk she could barely afford. Her M-Pesa balance was down to double digits. The sun streamed through the window in lazy slants, highlighting the thinness of her curtains, and her hope. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost ignored it. These days, unknown numbers brought more anxiety than opportunity. Debt collectors, sales pitches, wrong numbers. But something made her swipe right. "Hello? May I speak to Ms. Dora?" The voice was crisp, professional, a woman, confident. "Yes, this is Dora," she replied, steadying her voice, trying to sound like the woman she used to be, not the one standing with hunger biting at her insides. "This is Lillian from Juma and Partners Consulting. You applied for a senior communications position last month. We'd like to invite you for an interview." Dora blinked. For a moment, the room went quiet. She could hear the ticking of the cheap wall clock, the drip-drip of her leaking kitchen tap. I did," she whispered, more to herself than the caller. "Yes, your profile stood out to us. Are you available this Friday at 10 a.m.? She swallowed the lump in her throat. "Yes," she managed. "Yes, I'll be there." "Great. We've emailed you the details. Looking forward to meeting you." The call ended. Dora stared at the screen. For the first time in months, her name wasn't attached to a regret, a rejection, or a request for help she'd never get. It was a call that recognized her worth, that saw her. She sank onto the edge of her mattress, phone still in hand, her heart thudding like war drums in her chest. Not with fear, but with the wild, unfamiliar rhythm of hope. Something had shifted, and this time it was in her favor. The interview went surprisingly well. For the first time in months, Dora felt like herself again, sharp, confident, capable. She answered every question with grace, drawing on years of experience that hardship hadn't erased. She could see the flicker of admiration in the panel's eyes. And when she walked out of the boardroom that afternoon, heels clicking against marble tiles, she allowed herself a tiny smile, the first real one in a long time. A week later, just as she was boiling water for black tea, her phone buzzed. The email header read, "Offer of employment." For a full minute, she simply stared at it, hands trembling, heart thudding in her chest. Then she let out a choked laugh. Relief, disbelief, and gratitude spilled down her cheeks in the form of quiet, unstoppable tears. Head of projects, a multinational NGO. Better pay, better benefits, remote flexibility, a new beginning. But she didn't tell anyone. No celebratory messages, no status updates, no family WhatsApp announcement, just silence. She began her new job the very next week, walking into the office with quiet determination and a heart still healing. She threw herself into the work, grateful for the structure, the purpose, the salary. When the month ended and her first paycheck cleared, she didn't hesitate. She packed her bags, and she moved out quietly in the night, carrying her suitcase, laptop bag, and the weight of every lesson learned. She rented a 2-bedroom apartment in Westlands, furnished it slowly and tastefully. She reconnected with old friends, not the noisy ones, but the loyal few who had checked in during her storm. It wasn't just a change of address, it was a declaration, a fresh start, a clean slate, a silent promise to herself that she would never again beg to be seen, valued, or helped. She bought herself flowers every Saturday, joined a book club, took evening walks, ate well, and when her brother called 6 months later, saying he had a small emergency and needed help with his wife's medical bill, she paused, then replied, "I'm sorry, things are tight right now. Hope you understand." The silence on the other end was loud, just like hers had been. She had learned, in the most brutal way, that some people only love you when you are useful. When your phone rings with good news, when your account has extra zeros, when your shoulders are wide enough to carry everyone else's burdens. She learned that generosity, when given without boundaries, can turn into expectation, that the same hands you once fed can be the first to let you starve. Because once you stop serving, you stop existing. Once the money runs out, the calls stop too. No one checks in when you have nothing left to give. So she rebuilt, but this time in silence. No fanfare, no social media updates, no loud declarations. She stitched together a new life from the fabric of her pain and lessons, and this time she didn't build for approval or applause. She built for herself, for peace, for stability, for the quiet joy of knowing she owed no one her survival. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe to this channel for more stories.